Hey folks, I don't know that I ever, I've showed a lot of repair videos, but I don't know that I ever showed you what I do when I take in a holster for repair. There's been times when holsters have come in and I've gone, I'll get pictures in email, and I kind of evaluate it a little bit that way, give them a rough idea what the cost is going to be. Sometimes when I get them, it's a total different story. That the finish holster, the pictures were one thing. When I got the holster in my hand, it was a total different story. And, I had to explain that to my customer, and I really hate doing that, but it is what it is. And fortunately, my customer understood, and that's the way it went. And he was okay with doing the repairs that needed to be done on that holster. We did it, and that was good. It turned out fantastic. I loved the job on that one. These I didn't get any pictures emailed to me, so this is going to be all new to me, and we're going to go through it. This is what I do every time I get a holster in. I have, this is a journal. Picked it up at, some big box store. I don't remember where it came from, but I just make notes in that as I go. When I'm looking at a holster, I take pictures. So I got my phone here. That way I can get them over to my computer and I can do what I need to and email them off to my customer. So there's two holsters in here, and I'm going to take a look at both of them. I'm probably only going to show you one of them, but I do the same thing on every holster, whether I've seen pictures of it in emails or if I just get the holster straight up. So here we go. I'm going to get you down on the bench, open the box, and let's go. He has the strap here, needs to be reattached. That's just a quick look. The top flap needs to be reattached. There's some other stitching that's missing back here. We'll get a better look at that. I want to get the other one out of here too. Now this is another interesting one. I have another video on a similar holster to this that had the tube on here and had the cleaning rod. So that's kind of neat to see one that's actually got the original pieces in it. Now keep in mind, some of these holsters are pretty fragile when they come to me. So I always try to be very careful with them. Now a lot of times I won't try to add any dye. So I'm not even looking at the condition of the coloring and such. I just like to, obviously there's the first problem. The tool pouch is detached. It's here though, and it's in very nice condition. We can clean up the stud there a little bit. I find it pretty interesting that they used steel studs instead of brass. I suppose brass was getting kind of scarce during the war. This had somebody tried to do a super glue repair on it, and I don't think that's going to show up in the camera, but there's some super glue right. Get a pen or something to point with. Right there is some super glue. And you can tell that it's super glue. You can tell it's super glue because of the way that it is. So somebody tried to repair that at one other time with super glue. So that has apparently been apart before. Both sides are like that. Folks, don't try to repair leather goods with super glue. It seals the leather tight, doesn't allow it to breathe, makes it brittle, and it'll break. Don't use super glue. You're kind of up a creek once you do, because you can't take it off of there. So that looks like the main problem there. As I'm going along, I'm going to use the smooth edge of this, and I usually like to use something to just kind of poke a little bit, and I'm not poking really, I'm just kind of lifting at the edges. because I want to see if all the stitching is intact. We got a little piece, the corner of this magazine pouch is kind of lifted up. I'm not going to touch that. That's not something that is really repairable. And you could try to glue it, but what kind of glue do you use? You know, there's not really that much overlapping. It's one of those things that you say, be careful with that, and there isn't much you can do. The nice thing is, I can see that this is knotted. My threads come around down here, but both stitch lines are knotted right here. It is a 1942 holster. And aside from the tool pouch, the stitching for the belt loops actually looks really good. That's one of the things that you see on most of these, is these stitches along the edges will be broken. This actually looks really good. It needs a good cleaning. A lot of the Luger holsters will have, this part will be a separate piece that attaches to the lid, but the newer ones, and this being a 42, it's one piece with the back. So that's kind of neat to note. There's a couple stitches broken here. Not to worry, nothing to worry about. There's a piece of leather right inside the holster, right here, that goes from here down to where that stitch line is on the back. So it just goes from here to here. There's a couple stitches broken here and a couple here. There's a couple more here. The thread's in fairly nice shape. I mean, it looks nice and white yet. So this one's in nice shape. Picking these threads out takes time. Oh, look at that. Neat. When they were stitching it, they got a knot in the thread in a couple of different spots. See if I can get it to show you. So there's a knot here, and another one here, and another one here that pulled through that they just pulled through and left in there. That's pretty neat. Pretty neat. I won't put knots in there, except where they need to be to tie off at the end. But this is where they tied off, was on this end. So it was two separate stitch lines, down, down, and tied off on the end. Other than that, I mean, we could try to correct some of this color issues. And if I did, I would use the Connolly's with the dye in it and just do it that way. Just a slight correction of it, just to kind of protect the leather in those spots. And that would be all I would do. And it would help preserve the leather, and it would kind of correct the color a little bit. And it doesn't do much. It's just a very little bit. Other than that, a good cleaning and reattaching the top. Probably, well, I'd probably have about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes into fixing this. Not too bad. There's probably 45 minutes just into picking all the threads out. But this is in very, very good condition. The leather's in very good shape. This strap isn't the greatest, but it's still in excellent condition for the age. I mean, let's face it, it's what, 80 years old? Hope I'm that good when I'm 80 years old. But that's pretty much what I do when I look at them. So I will take some pictures here. This holster, right off the bat, that was just a really one to evaluate, really easy one to evaluate. So let's go on to this one. This seems to have quite a bit of stitching that is missing in various places. So the bottom of the magazine pouch is detached. And that, so I can repair that and I can do that. It's not easy being cheesy, I'll tell you that. It's hard to do, but it can be done without disassembling the holster. But I see there's some here along the side here that's really frayed badly. If it's not already apart. Yeah, it's starting to come apart in the corner here. I don't know how well you can see all that. Right down here in the corner, starting to come apart. And it's probably because this has come apart here. And I can see right down along here, it's frayed. It's still there, but it's frayed pretty bad. This one, the top of this belt loops have been restitched, and I can only tell that because it wouldn't have been done like that in the factory. There's two slits in the leather here. There's a slit here and a slit here, and actually this one is done. This one will show you. So right here, there's a slit here and a slit here. So they stitched it through this slit, and that's where these stitch lines go. So they're all hidden behind there. You don't see those stitch lines on the inside of the holster. And that's how all the Luger holsters are that way that I've seen so far. So that's been repaired before and not very well. It's starting to come apart down here too. I don't want to move it too much, but it's on here. You can see the threads are broken on the ends, at least on this side of each one. This one's on both sides, and it's the same way down inside there. I can't show it to you because you can't see down there, but it is the same way down there. Across the top here, it's hard to tell if those stitches are broken. It looks like they are. No, it's not coming loose, so I'm not going to mess with it. There are some here, right here, that are gone, and there's some over here that are gone. There's some that right here, you can see right along here where they're gone, just on this side are gone, and it doesn't look like they've quite come out yet. They just haven't quite broken through. Now they're gone on the back side too, so the thread is just missing from there. There's another spot right along here and along here. But here's that stitching that's missing on here and up here. So this row would need to be replaced. The pocket, the tool pouch, all of that stitching is gone. This stitching for the flap that holds the cleaning rod in, that's in very poor shape. It's broken in several places. It should be replaced. I think this is just broken threads. It is. Yep. It's hard to tell on camera, but all I'm seeing through here is just the end of the threads. I don't want to poke at it too much because the way it is, I can repair it without pulling it out. But this line here holds the magazine pouch on. They're missing here. And those few I could probably replace, but they're missing. They're there, but they're worn so thin. I'll take some pictures and I'll pass that on to my customer. But that whole line is getting pretty. This is where your belt would have gone through, and it's pretty normal to see these gone. But usually if these are intact and they're intact down here, I'll leave them alone because it's still held together real well. These are not. There's a little mold on this holster. Right in there, right inside the belt loop. You can kind of see it in there. So we want to give it a good cleaning and take care of that. But right where the belt would have gone through, you can see some definite wear. The thread on this holster, unfortunately the thread on the back of the holster doesn't look in great shape. I don't want to do anything I don't have to do. Right here in the magazine pouch, there's a lot of frayed threads here. It's going to be hard to get pictures of all that. But this tube, the stitching it's still on this side, that's why it hasn't fallen out. So the stitching is here, but like I showed you here, it's gone. So that needs to be restitched. This needs to be restitched for the tool pouch. And of course the strap will need to go back on. And this is a 1934. I can't read it real well. Something Berlin 1934. So you can see the markings back there. It's actually a really nice holster. And I'll have to see how far he wants to go with it. The leather's in such nice shape. I mean, aside from these few spots where it's kind of flaking away, it's in really good shape. This one too is, again, it's a newer holster. It's a one piece with the back here for the hinge. So I'll get some pictures. That's kind of what I go through, and then I make all my notes here in my notebook with the customer's name, which holster it is, all those kind of goodies. And then I'll send him an email tonight and see what he thinks. So that's kind of all I'm going to put into this video. I thought you might be interested to see that. Of course, obviously the strap needs to be stitched back on, but that's not a huge deal. And you just kind of, with this one, I kind of want to see where he wants to go with it. Like I said, all these threads are looking kind of haggard. And if he wants to do a total restitch, there's enough places. This whole line, it needs to be redone. It's still intact. I mean, the thread's gone. The threads are all broken all the way across here. Because you should be able to see the thread right here. And you can't. The top of the thread across the stitch line, but you can't, it's not there. And this thread's here. This one's starting to break here. Down here it's breaking. There's enough spots that are concerns around the perimeter that it just depends on if he wants to do that like I did to that finish holster. Just blow it apart and restitch it. I could restitch these top belt loops too, so they're done appropriately. We'll see what he wants to do. All that being said, I've got a whole playlist of repair videos for holsters. Most of them are, oh by gosh, I think they're all Luger holsters. Go ahead and check them all out. And with that being said, subscribe if you're not already. Smash that like button. It helps out the channel, helps me out. And, stay safe. God bless. I'll catch you in the next video.